This is ABC News Nightline.
She was a small-town family doctor who suddenly got a one-way ticket into the dark heart of a savage epidemic.
I've had some kids come by and point at the house and say, that guy that lives there's got AIDS, you know.
Tonight, the journey of a country doctor. Claire Hicks never thought she'd be known as the AIDS doctor. But then, one day in 1988, two men walked into her office.
Nothing bound them for their medical care to the small town. And I really begged them to go see somebody else. They were very determined to continue their lives and die in the small town where they had lived for many years.
Reverend Larry Harris almost missed the opportunity to spend the final months with his son, Larry Jr., who worried about his family being stigmatized by his illness. He had planned, after his death, to have his body shipped home from Los Angeles, where he worked as a social worker for AIDS Project LA.
And he opened both eyes and looked at me. And I said, it's all right if you go. There was no fear in his eyes. There was no fear on his face. There was total peace.
Reverend Harris never asked how his son got AIDS because he wasn't sure he wanted to know, and because he said it wouldn't have changed a thing.
And I looked at the clock, and it was 2 o'clock. And I went back, and I told Janice, I said, honey, the struggle's over.
Go ahead, Roy, that's kind of nice. 1, 2, 3, journal. I woke up this morning to the empty sky.
He turned anguish into art.
You said that we're living in a different world now, that the world has changed. How so?
You turn to the things that matter most. One of the things that happened was the enormous light shone on those things, just through the very sacrifices that were made on that day. You know, people forget. People are brave. People are brave.
Brave from the strength low walls. Brave from the faith, Lord. Come on, come on, rise up. Come on, rise up.
Tonight, Bruce Springsteen on work, hope, and keeping faith with his audience.
Come on, rise up. Come on, rise up.
I met trees when I was a kid. The first thing you could do in the yard for your father was to pull branches, drag brush. We lived on 2.5 acres in Dover, Massachusetts, but it backed up to a big rich family called the Lees that had almost 1,000 acres of woodland. It was really like an amusement park. That may have had something to do with why we're here. And a good arborist can tell you in a split second what kind of tree you're looking at. But the underground are more mysterious. At some point, I got the idea that it would be interesting to put the tree upside down. The effect was quite amazing, to just look at a tree against the sky and to see it upside down. And the roots, I'd cleaned them, so there was no question what you were looking at. I would like to see perfect root systems preserved in glass tanks with everything just
What on earth am I supposed to do now? Let's drive. Yes, ma'am. I have a theatre. It's just sitting there.
What do you know about the theatre business?
Oh, almost nothing.
I have to have total control.
Don't be silly.
When you do stories based on real events. What you've got to find out is what is dramatic about it, where the conflicts are, what will make it interesting for an audience.
It's important that we tell the story of that time and just what it involved. And those girls going on and dancing and singing, and the Blitz happening on London. I mean, that's a very remarkable story. Let's have naked girls.
Pardon? That kind of thing isn't done here.
She buys a theatre, gets Vivian into running, and then everybody copied him. And she thought, well, we've got to do something, more than this. So take their clothes off.
Well, it doesn't seem fair for them to be dressed when we're not.
What fair is fair?
Come on, you too, Mr. Van Dam.
Don't be ridiculous.
Why, Mr. Van Dam, you are Jewish.
We're babies of the Blitz. We're living underground. We've got what it takes.
I never worked so hard. You go from being this superhero into a period where you're just the opposite, and you have to be able to take that stuff. I was fortunate to have the name Trump. It's the winning card, it's the winning hand, it's a good name. It's funny, when you have a friend doing this, you open up more, and some guys asking me these questions, I say, don't even get there, right? Now I say, right?
To paraphrase Wizard of Oz, we're not in Canada anymore. We're in this beautiful setting in East Hampton, but the journey started in Montreal. There's a rumor that when you were 12 years old, you came to New York City by yourself.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you got from Montreal to Boston to New York City.
You take all the great stuff for granted, and what you regret is that you can't participate in enough of it. You just don't have enough time to take advantage of what it offers. Now, there's no other city in the world that's like that. And it is a city that, because it's a vertical city and everybody sort of mingles at the pedestrian level, people have learned to get along with each other. We are now segregating college education not by race but by income. This country has always done the best when the largest number of people can participate in it. And the people who are benefiting from these tax cuts are the people who have done the best already. I mean, I didn't need it, and people like me didn't need it. It wasn't what this country needed to do, in my judgment. If we needed to do tax cuts, we should have distributed it much more equitably.